Anti-Afro Svengalis, you see it on the screen, red alert. The red alert would be illegal access to the Social Security Administration system and redistributing that information and what happens as a result of that. Let's be clear, it doesn't have to be anyone getting your Social Security information, which goes far beyond your Social Security number, and wreaking havoc. You do not have to wait until someone wreaks havoc with your information that is supposed to be confidential in a government system. Notify the authorities. Most important, law enforcement, your local law enforcement, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration directly. They can help lock down your number to prevent illegal use. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a clip for you. After this clip found its way to me, I was working on a video. I had to scrap the video because all this other information was coming in, including yesterday. But I'm focusing with this clip on what somebody claims went down as far as how the system was accessed. We're only isolating the person's claims. I'm not playing any audio of the accused because I want you to hear exactly what the allegations are. So stay tuned and I will return.
I'm glad you went live and talked about this because I saw a lot of people speculating about how they got my SSN, and it wasn't from like no bankruptcy paperwork. It wasn't from no regular background check. This woman was actually dumb enough to email out the document that she got from the Social Security office from somebody that ordered a direct report on my number, and she sent it around the sector. So she had my Social Security number before this report was even requested. She's had it for, she says, months now. So she knows somebody that works at that office, and that's how she got it. So I just wanted to clear that up.
Baby.
No, she didn't get a credit report. She did a report on my current employer based off what's paid to Social Security every week out of my check. So she got my full Social Security number, and somebody that works for Social Security is the one that actually pulled this report. So there's a data breach.
So okay, and that you're kind of feeding into what I was, because and not just as it's limited to you, but I've ran and heard a lot of people or interacted with a lot of people online that say they know people that work in certain government agencies.
This is a job that I just started in August.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it wouldn't be like in real time. You know what I mean?
And literally, what's funny about it is you can access certain information about me, like obviously, but certain contracts that I have are private for a reason because of the nature of the work that I do. So this is not something that you're going to be able to find because I do background checks on myself all the time. This is something that somebody that works in Social Security has access to. Like, for example, it had my hourly rate. My hourly rate was on there. What deductions I get out of my check for insurance was on there. Social Security deductions were on there. Just information that's not, only the government would have that information is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so, I follow you. And I'm taking a step further and even say, when I work for the government, I didn't have access to that shit.
Let me interrupt just for a second to provide some clarity. If you fill out W-2 forms, you were considered an employee, and those earnings are reported to Social Security. If you work for a company that has a contract with the feds, you were considered an employee of the company, and that still would be W-2, Social Security deductions, state and federal deductions. If you yourself have the contract with whatever agency it is, the feds, any other entity, that's W-9 status, which is independent contractor. And those earnings are only going to appear with the Internal Revenue Service. And you can get that by ordering an IRS transcript for whichever year you want to order one for. And as a side note, it's nice getting lump sums of money when you have contracts. But the big risk is people don't hold back money for their taxes because none are taken out. You owe those taxes when tax time comes around, and the IRS gets very mean and nasty if they don't get their money. Ask Dempsey. He's sitting on $133,000 tax lien.
He said he used a burner, and stop me, Shakim, if I get anything wrong. He said he used a burner account for email, sent you an email to get the info that you was telling everybody to email you about. You responded to that burner account email. So when he's referencing himself in that manner, that's what he means. In other words, like you didn't know who you were sending the email to. Did I get that right, Shakim?
That's absolutely correct, 100%. And I have other information that I could put out there, but I'm not going to put it all out there now because, like I said, I'm not the only victim of her stealing Social Security numbers. Honestly, anybody that's given her information, she can get your information. She's done extensive background checks on other people in the sector.
Ooh, that's a serious accusation.
Told on herself. She told on herself, yes, it was used to get tax information, past employers that I worked for. I looked, and I'm looking at my credit report and everything. My shit has to be locked down right now because it's been compromised. So I'm not the only person who's had their information compromised, is what I'm saying. She told me, she told me through my burner account that she had also reached out to said friend and verified information about 2 other individuals in this sector that I'm not going to name at this time.
So you gonna screenshot those? You gonna screenshot those emails and post them?
Yes, they're going to be part of the lawsuit as well. So they're going to be everywhere.
I just had to put it out there because that accusation, that was a very strong accusation. So I just wanted to go around.
Tell everybody who else you looked up, and who else you've done background checks on. Since it's an open panel, go ahead and discuss that. You did it. So tell us what you did. Oh, now you didn't do anything. Now you did nothing. You gonna stand on this story? Because those emails coming out, sweetheart. Once my lawsuit is filed, I'll drop the emails. So I guess you're gonna have to hear it from me since you can't hear it from her. I have your email. You're so smart where you told me your friend works at Social Security. Your friend that's your drinking buddy that you met on one of your flights because you move with all the swingers and the shakers of the world on your flights. It's all right here in this email, baby girl. So you can play dumb all you want to play games with you because I have your fucking email right here in black and white. I have the proof. I even have the shit that you sent around about Dr. Fratbra around the sector, who's also a former police officer. I have all your information.
I was about to be super messy because I'm waiting for that tea. I'm waiting for that tea.
Just reminding, this was November 10th. This is Tiff P's panel. And since November 10th, there's been several avalanches of new information. Also, there's already pre-existing information that went down before this current point in time that's relevant. Just reminding also, I'm not mentioning any names. As far as the accused, if you know, you know. If you want to know, let me know and I'll tell you behind the scenes, but I'm not going to be speaking anyone's name who is involved, whether the subject actually got the information herself or had somebody get it, who was passed on to, who made references to having it, who said that they saw it. Any subject in that category, I'm not mentioning their names, and I would discourage anyone else who believes that their information has been compromised not to reference these subjects. You need to contact the Social Security Administration, the IRS, and the police. They're the ones who need to know. And when I made my reports, they made it clear if you hear any information or anybody repeating, distributing information that you think was obtained by illegally accessing Social Security information, contact us and we will address that, investigate it. Obviously, law enforcement investigates crimes. The crimes are not investigated by anybody here in these YouTube streets. So I find it very humorous how this effort goes through trying to take attention away from what obviously was done. Pose these questions. Where is the info in question? In this instance, we're talking about Social Security numbers, and we're talking about information contained in the Social Security system. That's where the information is. How was the information obtained, which now has been shared? As I stated a few minutes ago, I scrubbed the video because since November 10th, when you heard the information, more information has come to light. It absolutely is more than 3 people. And I pretty much suspected that based on some previous information that was shared with me. I'm not going to get into that, but it is not limited to 3 people. If information came from a court record, you can walk into a courtroom, you can log into the court website, and there's the information that has nothing to do with accessing Social Security or any data in the Social Security system. So anyone who gets that information and shares it, that's not illegal. Need to look at what is the purpose of sharing the information? What is the purpose of having the information? If the information is for a legal reason and you obtained it through legal means, there is no crime. Nobody has any right to access the Social Security record system unless you are an employee for the Social Security Administration. There is a big and that employee has a legitimate official purpose for accessing the information. It is illegal for employees to snoop into records. And let's talk specifically about the Social Security Administration. It's a federal crime. It's a violation of the Privacy Act of 1974. Even those in the nosebleed cheap seats know it's a criminal offense for a Social Security employee to access records for someone else. But even if whoever was totally ignorant of this being a federal law violation, it would not absolve you of culpability. You would still be criminally liable. And obviously, someone working with the Social Security Administration knows what they're doing is illegal. Something else I find quite curious, it's a panic move when people starting to threaten you because you make it known that you have reported or you will report your belief that somebody has illegally accessed your information. That's called witness intimidation. You have a right to come on here and speak freely. But if someone is threatening you because you have or you stated you will report, contact the authorities. Now, I get it. There's some people out there who don't like to involve the police. That's their choice. If they don't want to get the police involved, that is completely their decision. But nobody has a right to intimidate anybody who's made it very clear that they're going to contact the police. And I come on here and I talk about this because I'm always encouraging people to defend yourself. It's a prison to be frightened into not protecting yourself or your family because some fools are up here on the internet thinking they can threaten you out of your rights. That is an indignity I can't even comprehend for myself. But I know there are others out there who perhaps were raised in a situation where you're supposed to not say anything, that family members were hurting you or harassing you or exploiting you or doing whatever to you, and you couldn't say anything. I wasn't raised like that. There are people who were raised like that, but they overcome it through whatever means. I've never been in a situation like that, and I would never allow anyone to say anything to me to think they can silence me and not report what I very clearly know went down. And let me reemphasize, whoever posts whatever from me, I don't need to look at it. I never look at it because I know what I wrote. I can go back and find exactly what I wrote. Well, I'm not going to post any information because it's evidence. I'll tell you this much. There is obviously more than one email. I don't get caught up in this situation. When I see stuff like this going on, trying to get me to give some sort of reaction and screaming and blurting out whatever and posting emails, that spells confirmed defeat. We're running at 100%. Every single time someone tries to prove we have engaged in some malfeasance, the situation applies to that person. And this situation is no different. If I'm going to go for a slam dunk, I'm not doing it in the YouTube streets. I'm going to do it with the authorities when it involves criminal behavior. This is just more of an effort to divert focus away from what's been done. And there's evidence proving such. And just think about you speaking to someone who you're rocking with, and it's actually one of your mortal enemies, and you gave information of it. I can't think of any more succinct form of karma than this. Folks, you know I have more coming your way. In the meantime, you know the drill. Buyer beware.